We have a special guest on the phone, your father.
Oh,
Senator John McCain, maybe the most frequent
Larry,
guest
how are
ever.
you?
Maybe our most frequent guest on the old Larry King Live. It's a great pleasure to have him join us. You were in that spotlight 4 years ago. What did you make of tonight, John?
I think if it was a fight, they would have stopped it. I think Romney knocked him out of the ring. I really do. And obviously I'm very biased, but it seemed clearly the president was off his game. And by the way, I was listening to that conversation. There have been a couple of times where the president has looked very poor, and the best example, I think, was the first Reagan-Mondale debate, as you remember, and he had to come back in the second debate. But Going into this, I think that, one of the things that surprised me, among other things, was when Mitt kept saying, you cut $761 billion out of Medicare. And Obama had no response for that. And you know why he didn't? Is because they did. I had the First Amendment on Obamacare when we were debating it to restore the funds that they cut out of Medicare to pay for Obamacare. And that's really, I think, maybe one of the first time, one of the real liabilities that Mitt has had in this campaign is Medicare with seniors. I think that might have changed things quite a bit there, because it's obviously a very big issue with seniors.
Senator, you said you thought Obama was off his game. In what way?
Well, first of all, I think his answers were complicated. As you already talked about, he was 4 minutes longer than Mitt was. I'm not sure that he conveyed a big picture on things, and I also think that this people really don't understand some of the things. Well, for example, want to hire 100,000 new teachers. That's fine. I thought Mitt Romney's statement, where he spent $90 billion on green energy, half of them which have failed, you could hire 1 million teachers. I thought that was really, he was on, and the president had no response to that. And so, look, as you all have been talking, the vice presidential debate will be important. We have Joe, the gift that keeps on giving Biden. We've been burdened for the last 4 years. The middle class has been burdened the last 4 years. And that'll be an interesting one, because I know Paul Ryan, and he's quite a wonk, as you know. So it'll be very interesting to see those two contrasts. And one thing I know about this president is that he's good, and he's smart, and he's got good people around him. And I think you may see a very different president in the second debate.
Do debates matter?
I think Mitt tonight was on his game. In other words, he had a comeback. I mean, for example, on this issue of Dodd-Frank, they did exempt the major financial institutions in America, and on the others, they still haven't issued the regulations. So how could you say that Dodd-Frank was anything but a failure? And I know that most Americans don't know Dodd-Frank from, exactly what they're talking about. But so, look, I think people have good nights and bad nights. I certainly have had that experience. And the fact is that Mitt did very well tonight, and I think the president was a little bit surprised by him. You know what I mean?
So you think Obama will improve in the next debate, which is 2 weeks away?
Absolutely. I guarantee it. Look, this is a very smart man, the President of the United States, and he knows how to give a speech, and he knows, I can assure you, the next one, he will be far better prepared. I think he was a bit surprised. Frankly, I think all of us were surprised at how well Mitt did. Don't you think, Ben?
Yeah, you've debated Romney in the past, right?
I've debated Romney and I've debated Obama, and
I know.
I can tell you that Mitt was a lot better tonight than I had ever seen him. Megan, you watched them all. What do you think?
I thought he was. Oh, you guys did.
I agree, Dad.
Your daughter agrees. Do you think also?
That's the first time in a long time that my daughter agrees.
You don't always agree with her.
No, it's so funny. I don't know if I've ever actually been on air with my dad before.
This is a first.
Other than in a family interview about, being part of the McCain family. So, hi, Dad.
Now, I think Senator McCain has got it exactly right. Romney showed he was a lot smarter than people thought he was. I mean, I kept thinking, well, duh, he got a Harvard Law degree and a Harvard Business School degree and made a huge amount of money and was considered even by many Democrats the best governor Massachusetts has ever had. So something's going on there, and we saw some of that tonight. On the other hand, clearly Mr. Obama is a terribly smart, capable, and I thought remarkably conciliatory gentleman.
So you agree with John? You expect Obama to be better next time?
Oh, I'm sure he'll be far more aggressive, but also still be polite. I think
Senator, do you agree with what Ben said earlier, that this was a very civil debate that made you proud to be an American?
I think it was. I think it was civil. I thought that a couple of Obama's zingers, and they were very polite, kind of fell flat because, you know, one thing about zingers is that you better have the right timing, otherwise they fall flat, you know. And so that's why I've always tried not to rehearse one of these, you know, quips, because a lot of times it looks so artificial. But yeah, look, not everybody, but the President of the United States is very likable. It's a great American success story. They like his wonderful wife and his children. So it's not a matter of likability. And I think that Romney understands that. You don't want to go after the President of the United States because Americans would be offended by that because they like the President. What I think Mitt was trying to say tonight, and I think he got it across, is that we can't pick 4 more years like the last 4 years. And that's why he kept throwing up these numbers about unemployment and people are not looking for work, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I think he was very, very effective by throwing some of Obama's quotes back at him. You know, if he didn't cut the deficit in half, he shouldn't run for a second term, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I think that Obama was surprised. I think a lot of us were surprised. And the next debate, I will look forward, frankly, with more interest than I had in this one. What do you think, Ben?
I think it's going to be a killer debate next time, but I think they'll both still be very friendly and civil to one another, because I bet they both find that they get payoff from that. There's no payoff in being an assassin in these debates.
Senator, with your daughter, I guess you're very proud of her.
We don't need to make this about me.
I'm very proud of her, and
Thank you.
And I always pay close attention to her. And we have some very spirited conversations.
What did you think of her book, by the way?
That's enough.
What did you think of America, You Sexy Bitch?
That was a spirited conversation, Larry.
Senator,
I love you, Dad. Call you later.
Okay.
Senator, as always,
thanks, gang. Larry, I love you, and one of the great memories I'll have that I'll take with me for the rest of my life is the wonderful times I had being on your show. You are one of the great men in American, I would say, providing and informing and the American people.
I'm humbled. Thanks. Thank you very much, John. Senator John McCain.